Alright, welcome back. To the third video of our series. In this video, we're gonna look at how to use Perforce with Unreal Engine 4 and also Visual Studio. We're gonna connect to Visual Studio. We're gonna connect to Perforce in Unreal Engine 4. I'm gonna also go through the explanation of the icons. And if you have done the first video, if you have set up the type map, then this is if you set up the type map, then you can use some sort of this file lock system and integration Unreal, and it will work really nice. I'll show you how to do it. Also, how to add and submit, both in the Unreal Engine, in Microsoft Visual Studio plugin, the plugin we're gonna download there, and also in the visual clients itself. Yeah, and I'm gonna talk more about why you would do one over the other. And then also the Helix plugin. And then, yeah, if you're working with code, we'll want to use this plugin. And then also some more useful features in the P4V client. All right. So here we have I'm gonna make an empty Unreal project. I'm gonna do C++ because I'm gonna show you how that works. And then we're gonna go to our right here. We don't want to do our Git repo. We want to do our workspace. So Isaac workspace is the one I want to do it. Add the project in, and then we will just call it tutorial project. Okay, and then create it. This will take some time, but as you see, the files are being added here. So we get tutorial project in here. And there will be a when you work with a team of artists and programmers, usually you would submit only in Unreal. You would usually only submit config, content, source, and new project. But if you have artists, you could also consider submitting binaries. This is if they are not gonna build the source code themselves. So if the artists don't have space, or you don't want them to download Visual Studio, then you can just submit the binaries, and they would be able to open the project and edit the project. The sort of dangerous thing about this, though, is that binaries will be built on the coder's machine, and you have to be sure that the artists that are getting the binaries is using the same type of operating system as you. So, for example, if you're building binaries on Windows, the artist must have a Windows computer in order to use those. So yeah, binaries is optional to add, to submit, but you have to submit config, content, source, and new project. And in GitHub, you would usually just do a git ignore and then add that file, and then do git add and then dot, and you will add all the files, and it will just add the files you haven't specified in your git ignore. But in Perforce, you don't really need that, because you just do the initial add, and you just make sure to add these files, and then once you edit them, Perforce will understand that you have edited them, and it will check them out, and it will put them into change list. And once you're done editing, you submit that. So you don't really need a git ignore, or as in Perforce, they call it P4 ignore, but you can set it up. The way you would do that is you would go to the command prompt, and then you would do P4 and then set P4 ignore, and then some file name, You can look that up though. I'm not gonna do it because it's not really necessary at all. Okay. So now we're into Unreal Engine. And we want to use this top button over here that says source control. When we use this, we can connect to our source control, and of course we gotta choose a provider. We're gonna use Perforce, and as you see here, here you can see our IP and our port and our username, and we don't see our workspace. And it's kind of a little weird, but you have to click on this one. So hover over that one and click on it, and then it should find your workspace. If it doesn't find your workspace, then it means you have to maybe there's your username is typed in wrong, maybe you don't have the server typed in, or maybe you just need to do a P4 login, or log into the P4 Visual Client or something like that, or set the or go to connection and then yeah, I'll show you. Go to connection, oops, environment settings, and then just do OK here. You will figure it out if that's the case. Usually it's just a typo in something, and that's why that happens. And then you do accept settings. Now there was a little pop-up down at my right side of my screen that you can see that said a connection was successful, and you can see that it was successful if you hover over and see yes and everything. This connection is usually it's saved within the save file. So sometimes you will get problems in Unreal, and usually you delete VS, binaries, and then the raw data cache. You don't really have to, but you can. Intermediate. The intermediate is the most important on binaries. And then also save, and also the SLM, and then you regenerate the Visual Studio project file, and you open and you regenerate all the files. But if you delete the save, you have to reconnect over here. So sometimes it's not necessary to delete the save, because you will always have to reconnect your version control. What is important is you delete binaries and intermediate, and if it doesn't work, then again, if you have some blueprint bug, then you can delete all the other files again and test if that fixes your problem. I don't know where exactly this is saved, but at least yeah, I think it's somewhere here. At least that is for my case. I'm using another in my project. I'm using another sort of setup. I'm using Perforce, but I'm also using Unreal GameSync, and there it doesn't delete the save. And what I can infer from that is that the source control connection is saved in the saved folder. All right. So that's that. Now we have connected, and what you always want to do initially is you want to go to your Visual Studio Client, Visual Studio Client, I mean Visual the Perforce Visual Client, and you want to go to your project here, and you want to select, go Control, and then select Config, Content, and then Source, and then your project. These are the ones you need. And then you do mark for add. What this will tell Perforce is that you want to add these files to the depot. If it doesn't work to add these files, it might be because you have set up the workspace mapping wrong. Yeah, this is some weird bug that, yeah, this is also visual bug. I don't know why this is there, but maybe it's you have to update the visual client, check for updates. But you can see that here, yeah, this like it really wants to always add this one, but we really don't want this. We just want that one, but these small errors don't really do anything, so don't worry about them. And now after we've added those mark those for add, you can see that they're in our change list. So in order to send over the changes to the server, you do a submit. And then you have to write a change list. I don't know what these files got added though. Did I misclick on something? I might have done that. Okay, that's bad. I think that was not meaning. Okay, but then I can show you how. Okay, I got everything. Okay, that's kind of. Let's do that again. Let's revert if and change. Revert files. Yep, let's revert those. Okay, so we try again. We want to have content and then config source and view project. Only those three. You can add binaries, but that's not necessary. And now it added the ones I wanted. Okay, so we submit it and we have to change it. So initial, let's say initial submit. And now you can see these files are now under here. Although you will see here that we don't have content. That's because Perforce doesn't submit a folder if it's empty. So what we can do for that is now I can go through some of the Unreal integration of Perforce. So if you're an artist, what you most likely would do is you will just go here every day and then okay, you click on the top model, you press refresh and you do get latest. Then you will get the newest changes from your depot into your workspace. Now, after you've done that, as an artist, or if you're just doing a blueprint project, you can minimize this and you don't care about it. Because then you connect here and you can, let's just add a blueprint class, do an actor, and you will see there's a question mark. Question mark means it's the file is not in the server. The Perforce is detecting this file as something that is on your computer but not on the server. So what you have to do is, you see here, you see mark for add, but usually you can just save and then it will do the plus icon. That means it's added for a change list and it's a new file. So what we can do is we can either we can submit it over here basically, and we're going to test. Now we have submitted a file from just the Unreal editor onto our server, and if we see over here now and depot, we can see that we have content and our new blueprint asset. Now let's say I want to work on this project, and with binary files, only you have to be careful when you edit binary files, as you can't really, there's not like text files where you can just merge stuff together. They will just replace each other. So how the system works is when you do edit a blueprint or a file in the editor, for example, I will save it. It will ask me to check out the asset. So don't do the make, write, will, whatever. Just to check out selected. Now this file is checked out, and I am the only one that's able to edit this file. This file is now locked for other people. As you can see, there's a check mark, red check mark. If your friend on the project or your teammate on the project has checked out a file, you would see a blue check mark, and then if you hover over it, you could see in the description there who has checked out, which user has checked out that blueprint. So then you can go to him and say, hey, I need to make an edit, and can you please check in or submit the file so I can edit it. I mean, if another teammate goes here and he wants to do an edit, when he presses save, he will get a warning, and he can like press check. Yes, I want to override. I want to make my changes are more, but it's Once you get that error, you usually realize that, okay, somebody else is already working on this blueprint and I shouldn't be touching it. It's like a big box here, and you will see yellow warning, and you have to press a check mark and then do overwrite or something. So it's that usually never happens. But just to let you know. Now, let's say I accidentally just saved the file, and then you can't really do anything. You have to check it out if you save it. And then no one is working on it, but I didn't really want to check it out. I could do a revert, and revert if unchanged only. This means that I only revert the file back to what it is in the server, if it's not changed. But I could also, if I made some change but I don't like it, I want this the server, the version of the state of this file that the server has, I want that instead on my computer. Then I can just do like this. But I can revert and change, as you see. Okay, I think it doesn't work with blueprint files, because blueprint is kind of weird. But you can just revert like this, and you know that it didn't change. Yeah, of course you can check out here, and you can also check in. Then you're basically submitting. I'm not gonna do that. And we can do revert again. We can try this once more. And it actually worked. Okay, so yeah, so it does work, but maybe I just did something that was weird. So that's the general workflow in the editor. You can see, so just to go through it again, question mark means the file is only locally on your computer, but not on the server. So you have to mark it for add, and then it becomes a plus sign, a red plus sign. A check mark means that you're editing the file, and the file is locked and checked out by you. If it's a blue check mark, it means that somebody else has checked out the file, and you can hover over to see who it is. Every time that you've finished working with all your stuff and it's all working, then you go source control, and then you submit to source control, and all the files that you have added and checked out will then be displayed on the submit prompt, and you will have to type a submit change list, and then you will send the files to the server. Other people can then, on your team, can then the next day go to their workspace, click on the topmost file, do refresh, and then get latest. They have to do this in order to get the files. I mean, there is another way though, and this is the last sign. It's a exclamation mark sign, a yellow exclamation mark sign, kind of similar to the question mark sign. This means that the version of the file on your computer is not the same as the version of the file on the server. So basically what you need to do is you need to sync them again. In Unreal, sometimes it will give you the option to just sync the file over here. But of course, the best thing to do and to ensure that you get all the newest file is to go to workspace, refresh, and then get latest. Okay? And now, if there's some files that you don't like, you don't want, and you delete them. Let's delete this one. Then there should be a mark for delete here in the change list. This means that I've deleted the file from my computer, and I want to delete the same file on the server, right? So then I can submit that, and then okay, then like this file. Now that file should be gone, and as you see, you don't see the content folder anymore because it's empty. All right, so that's basically it in the Unreal Editor and how to use the client. Now, sometimes there is a bug. I don't know if it depends on the server version or whatever, but I've experienced it. It's not something major at all, but sometimes in Unreal, all the files you've edited, it usually doesn't happen with when you're checking out files, when files already exist, but most likely it happens with when you're adding new files. Sometimes it doesn't mark them for add. This is not a problem though. You just have to go to the visual client and, for example, go to content and then just mark for add here. I mean, if you had a P4 ignore file, you could do a mark for add at the topmost file, but I mean, it's not that difficult to figure out what files you need to have. It's source, it's content, config, and then your project, and then perhaps binaries if you want to give that to the artists. Yeah, I mean, you can make the P4 ignore file, but you can look at that up yourself. There's always, just search Google P4 ignore file and you can get a standard one for a standard P4 ignore. But just for when you just have a project and you don't have the engine or anything, you don't really need it. Yeah. So now I've shown you how to use the editor and the workflow for submitting and adding and changing files here. I'm just going to talk more about the type map and the lock and read system and everything. So how Perforce works is it goes in and it sort of let me find, yeah, it goes in and it sort of changes the properties of the files. So it always, like, as you see here now, it's read only, but it sort of changes the attributes of the files when you're using it, so that people can so that either the files are locked, or you can just read it or whatever, or you have to sort of check it out in order to be able to write to it. And all this is specified in the type map that we did in the first video, if I recall correctly. So this is like tuned for Unreal Engine, basically, is what I'm saying. When it comes to source files, so like CPP files, you can also check them out with the plugin. I'm going to show you the plugin later on. But in source files, since they're text files, you can have two people check out the same file at once, but then you have to merge it. And when you have to merge, you have to you might have to resolve some conflicts and use the merge tool. The merge tool in Unreal in Perforce is great. You just have to figure out how to use it the first time. I'm not going to go through it here, but it's really easy to use. And also be sure when you have this Perforce visual client that you always have history and page change list, so that you can easily see what your other team members have done. And also you can type and click here and you can see what they have, the description of the change list, and also the file diffs and etc. So yeah, the merge tool is really easy to use. It's nothing really complicated. There's a lot of other stuff here, like diff, time-lapse, and rep what is the time-lapse is basically just a sort of it shows you a whole graph of the project, and like how it changed over time through the change list. So I can show you with this files in selected folder. Let's do that, and it's sort of, you get this thing, and it's kind of, it's like you don't really get an overview when you see this, but you can click on those and you can see all the changes, and you can also do some settings here to show highlight and stuff, and figure out more. And you can also, of course, there's a lot of things there that could be useful, but I'm not going to go deep into it. And then in Unreal, you will have this, there's this plugin. So if you go extensions, I recommend you to download where is it? The P4VS, the Helix plugin for Visual Studio. It's kind of laggy, but I mean, you should have it. It's useful. And then when you open your Visual Studio project file, usually you will be prompted with a a connection. But if you're not, you can just open. So okay, so you connect and then you browse users. You take your user. You browse your workspace. Be sure to select the correct workspace. I'm gonna select Isaac workspace, which is the one I'm working in, and then press OK. I was gonna try to connect to the Helix Core server. That usually never fails. It might take some time though. It might freeze your Visual Studio client because it's kind of shit too, to be fair. But yeah, if you don't have a large project, it's usually fine. So here you see some icons. You see this is checked in. So it's kind of weird terminology, but you check out when you want to take and edit the file, and it's checked in when the server has the file. So here, I can go to the tutorial project YAML base. And let's say I wanna change something. I will get this pop-up PV4S, and it says, okay, what sort of change do you want to put it in, just to check out the file. And then you see now I'm able to edit. So I can do :public, and then I kind of know that I mean, I can't even C++ anymore. Like this. And yeah, so now you see this file is checked out. I've added a constructor. Let's go to CPP file and then do the same here. No, okay, that was a fat finger. And we can do it like that. Add it again. Don't press Control B, guys. Control V. And like so. Now I have these files edited, and what I can do now is, I mean, you could do here and then, you know, refresh and submit and shell, whatever, but I would just go here, Helix, submit, and then you see the same thing as you saw in the editor. You have all your files, you can select which one you want to submit, and you have to write a change list. So submitting from yes. And as you can see, I mean, you see here the change list 30, and I edited this, and you can see here and this my changes. And then the other people on my team can then go to the workspace, refresh, get latest to get their change. Yeah, that's it for how to use it. If you have any questions later on, just don't mind sending me a DM, just or whatever. I can always help you out more. And good luck using Perforce, and good luck on your projects.